Welcome, Bitcoin friends. It's Bitcoin Mamo. Today we're going to look at the Bitcoin charts, do some TA. We'll look at various time frames, and we'll also take a look at market cipher. So in the previous video, which was about 5 days ago, we were around this area here, and we're looking at this falling wedge pattern, which is a more bullish pattern. And we can see we had 2 touches on the top, 2 on the bottom. Generally on the third touch on the upside, we break bullish. And we have seen that move play out. And in that video, it was titled The Bottom is In, and we were correct on that call, with the bottom being down here at 24.8. And switching to the weekly time frame now, we also mentioned the 21-week exponential moving average, which is this green line here. And we said in bull markets, this often acts as support on pullbacks. And we also looked at the RSI between a 50 and a 56 reading. And we also said in bull markets, when above this area, on pullbacks, we tend to get support from this area on the RSI. So we can see on the 2 previous pullbacks here, we did come into that area on the RSI and did act as support. We did have a hidden bullish divergence on the weekly here with the RSI, making lower lows while the chart made higher highs. And again, just looking back on history here, we can see how this did play out 2 bull markets ago, going back to the cycle where we had the 2014 bear market and then the 2015, 16, 17 bull run here. And we can see on each of these pullbacks that we did come back to that area on the RSI and also that 21-week exponential moving average. We did that several times here. We can see we did that all the way up in this bull market till we reached the all-time high. And it also worked in reverse in a bear market. This area acts as resistance once we do break below that range. And this happened also several times here during the bear market. And I think our current cycle is very similar to that cycle. We're seeing a very similar thing. We can see once we got above this area on the RSI on the pullbacks, we got support 2 times here, and we also pulled back to that 21-week exponential moving average. So we are also above this trend line now, connecting these 2 highs. We saw a nice reaction, and it looks like we are going to close the weekly candle well above that trend line, and also above this weekly order block here from this green candle in a downtrend. These order blocks are areas of supply and demand. It's a break in a trend. Time was spent here and therefore volume. And these areas later on can act as support or resistance levels. So this order block is in the range of 29,900 to 29,460 approximately. So we are looking to see if we can close this weekly candle above that order block, and that would be a good sign. And we can always come back to retest it, see if it acts as support, and upon closing back above it, it generally means we are going to push higher. So the next thing we need to do now is look at some possible targets to the upside where there may be some more heavier resistance. And the first thing I like to do is look at some fib levels. We did notice back here on this pullback, we had some confluence of fib levels, taking the retracement from this low and this low. And we did come back to that level and it did act as support. So it is quite a good tool to find key areas on the chart. So just looking at the overall fib levels here from the all-time high to the bear market low, we have that 382 fib and the golden pocket here. And we can also do a retracement from this high to the bear market low. And when we do that, we do see some confluence here. Again, taking it from this high, we do get that golden pocket area, and it is in line with the 382 fib from the overall retracement. So this is going to be a key area here. So another thing we can do here is look at a fib extension level on this previous correction, taking it from this high to the low and extending the fibs upwards. And again, just like the 382 fib and the golden pocket, the 618, we can look at the 1.618. And these are the 2 key fib levels, of course, coming from the golden ratio. But we can see doing a fib extension here from this high down to this low, that we get the 1.618 fib extension. And it is pretty much in the area where these other fibs are. So this range so far is between 35k and 36.8k. So we can also look at some charting patterns here to get measured moves. If we do take a fib from this low up to this high, what we can see is the 0.5 fib was the level we pretty much pulled back to, again from this low to this high. And whenever we pull back to the 0.5 fib and get a bounce, we can look at an AB equals CD pattern. And basically what that is we take it from the low here to the high, basically that fib range. We pulled back 50% of that move. We just copy that trend line there and we put it at the low of that pullback. And we can see that gives us a target up here at 36,200 approximately. And we see that also lies in this range where the fibs are. So we have 4 things now, all pointing to this area, but we can also look at more charting patterns now. If we look at this bottoming formation here, where we did spend quite a long time, we did actually make a head and shoulders pattern here. So I can draw in the left shoulder and then draw in the head here and then draw in the right shoulder. And we can see this is a head and shoulders pattern. The right shoulder is normally shorter than the left shoulder. And this pattern was confirmed upon breaking the neckline here. And to work out the measured move of this head and shoulders pattern, we basically measured the distance of the head, which goes from the bottom there to the neckline. And then with the same length line, we put it at that neckline breakout level. And this gives us the measured move of the head and shoulders pattern. We can see that takes us to 35,110. And again, that lies within this area between all of these fibs. So we now have 5 things that all point to this area here. And I think with all that confluence that this is the next target for Bitcoin. Again, this is between 34,900 and 36,800. And we could see a small pullback here and then another move to the upside, or we could just go there quite quickly. As we can see with these previous moves, we did generally get there quite quickly, and then we did spend a lot of time consolidating. That is my target here. I think any pullbacks here are for buying. I don't think we will pull back that much with a target up here. So it could be quite a good trade. So we've just gotten rid of that head and shoulders pattern just to clean up the chart a bit. We have drawn in this blue rectangle, just encapsulating the range here of the fibs and the measured move of the AB equals CD pattern and the head and shoulders pattern. And if we do pull up the VPVR here, we can see that there is a gap here where there was less volume traded. And the next area where the VPVR spikes does kick in around this fib level. And again, that's at around 35.6K, going all the way up to around 40.6K. So we can see another point of confluence with the VPVR here, where we may get some resistance in this area. And looking at a more longer term target here, we do have the golden pocket all the way up here. I think this is an eventual target that we may reach towards the end of the year. And this golden pocket's at 48.4K to 50K. And we can look at another charting pattern here that validates that area. And basically we do have a big cup and handle pattern here. I'll just draw that in. We can see this giant cup. This is the handle. This is a cup and handle pattern. And we need to close above the neckline to confirm it, which would be above 31.2K. And we're looking for a close at least on the weekly here, which I do think we will get, as we saw the measured move of that head and shoulders does have a target up here at 36K. But to work out the measured move of the cup and handle pattern, basically it's similar to the head and shoulders pattern. Take it from the lowest point and go to the neckline. And then we move that line the same length to the neckline breakout level. We can see it does get us close to that golden pocket area, around 47K. So eventually I do think this is our target area. Again, maybe by the end of the year, maybe early next year. And these are the 2 key areas where we may get resistance. So we could just zigzag our way up here till we get to this target, and then we might see more of a bigger pullback. Perhaps we come from 50K back to 36K and then move to the upside. And then above this area, the next major area of resistance would be the all-time high and this previous high. We'll take it one level at a time. This is obviously our next target here. Again, around that 36K area. But let's also look at some other order blocks here on the weekly. Obviously, we talked about this one, which we're looking to close above on this weekly candle. But there are some more higher up. We can see one here from this green candle in a downtrend. And we can see that is in the area of these fib levels. And then we do have several higher up, with the next one being up here at 42k. But the ones that are closest to us here is obviously this one we just drew in at 35k, and the one we're trying to close above. And if we were to switch to the 2 week time frame now, we still have another week on this candle before it closes. But just wanted to point out this order block here from this red candle in an uptrend. We see that order block also lines up with those fib levels we spoke about, starting from about 33k up to 36k. Daily chart now. Again, we've got in all those fib levels. We can see a bit more clearly here on the VPVR. We've just drawn in how that lines up pretty much exactly with that 618 and the 382. And we've also got the measured move, the AB equals CD pattern. And we've just drawn in a possible channel here. It does connect to these two lows. And we can see if we do the same move here, perhaps this will take us to the top of this channel area in line with those fibs, where we may see some resistance and a pullback. Just looking at this more immediate price action here, running up from the bear market low, we do see this cluster on the VPVR, where we should get support if we were to pull back here, and that starts kicking in around 28.6k all the way down to 26.7k approximately. But I think if we do pull back anywhere in this range, it would be great for buying and a long opportunity to take profits up at these fib levels. We were also watching this trend line on the RSI, just connecting the highs, and we can see we closed above that also. And this was at the same time as we closed above this falling wedge pattern. One of the key things I look for here on a pullback is the daily EMA ribbon. And the EMA ribbon here on the daily time frame is better in a trending market when we are doing strong moves. And quite often on the first pullback, we pull back into that ribbon, we get support and we do move higher. So this is something to watch here. Obviously, we've only just started going up here. This might take a week or two to play out, but we watch this EMA ribbon, and eventually if we pull back into it, I would expect it to act as support, and then we do push higher. And currently it's only at 28k, but we do see it's moving up quite quickly. And over to the CME Bitcoin futures chart now. We've got the same fib levels drawn in, that AB equals CD move, and also this parallel channel. But we do also have something else important on this chart, and we do have a CME gap right here between 34,500 and 35,200. And again, we do see that it lies in the same area as those fib levels and the measured moves. I think we definitely come up to fill this gap and also into this range where we might start seeing some resistance and a pullback. And in that previous video, we also talked about the 2-day Ichimoku cloud, and we were comparing our current cycle to that previous cycle, the 2015, 16, 17 bull run here. And we saw that whenever we had a pullback, we pulled back into this cloud, acted as support, and then we moved higher. And this happened all the way up in the bull market. And with our current cycle, we saw that on that first pullback, got support off the top of the cloud. Second pullback, we pulled back into it. It did act as support from the bottom of that cloud. We have now closed back above it. So we're doing something similar to that previous cycle. And I think this will happen all the way up here in the bull market. The other thing we can look at with that previous cycle here is looking at those golden pocket areas, taking it from the all-time high to the bear market low here, and also from the top of this high after this dead cat bounce. We do see that fib retracement gives us this golden pocket, and this was the top of the initial run here where we got resistance. Then we can see we broke above it. We came to that next golden pocket, which is the overall retracement. We got resistance from that golden pocket, pulled back to the other golden pocket, and then we bounced. Once we closed above this golden pocket, we had that next move higher. And then the final boss here was the previous all-time high. We spent time getting resistance there until we broke above it and went on the last bit of the bull run. So I think we do a similar thing here. We come up to that level we spoke about, around 36k here. We may get some resistance and a pullback there. Once we break above it, our next target would be this golden pocket up at 50k, and then we may see more of a bigger retracement back to this golden pocket at 36, 37k. But again, this will take a while to play out, perhaps going into the end of the year and early next year. and then the final target to break would be the previous all-time high. But let's go over to Market Cipher now. We're just on the 4-hour time frame just to look at this initial area. And we can see we have been putting in higher highs here while putting in lower highs on Market Cipher. So there is bearish divergence here. And again, we're looking for the top of these waves to be above this white line for that divergence to be valid. So we could see a pullback here. So we could come down here or just spend time going sideways. The 12-hour time frame, we did get a red dot here, it did get confirmed, but we have just crossed into the green money flow after being in the red money flow for quite a lot of time. Again, this does confirm that we might see a bit of a correction here or some sideways consolidation. The daily time frame, we see this blue wave coming up. We don't have a red dot yet. Looks like it is getting close to one though. And we also need to see that get confirmed. So it might be a couple of days away. To the 2-day time frame, we see the blue wave still coming up here. And it looks like it's got a bit more to go before we may see a red dot. And the 3-day time frame similar. Again, the blue wave's just coming up here. So there is plenty to go. Going to those higher term time frames above the 3-day time frame, we see that there's plenty of room for the blue wave to move up, which tells me a red dot on the daily time frame would just mean a small correction or some sideways movement, and would probably get red dot, green dot, red dot, green dot, or something like that. And these higher term time frames have the momentum to keep the price at least the same level and eventually push higher. The 4-day time frame, we did get that green dot. It did get confirmed on Thursday, and again supporting that argument that there's plenty of momentum here, and any red dots on the smaller term time frames like the daily would only result in a small pullback at worst. 5-day also had a green dot that was just confirmed today on Sunday. And even the 6-day had a green dot, and that was confirmed on Saturday. We are also entering the green money flow after being in the red money flow since all the way back in January of last year when we were at 43k. So we had spent all this time in the red money flow. Now we are crossing into the green. And even the weekly now does have a green dot here. It will be confirmed tomorrow. And even the 2-week time frame has a green dot now after this correction from that red dot. And this won't be confirmed till the 3rd of July, so another week. And the 3-week has been moving up here ever since the green dot in September of last year. We did, of course, go slightly lower, but it did show the momentum was turning. We don't have any red dots at all, and it does look quite similar to the previous cycle we've been looking at, the 2014 bear market here, coming out of that bear market, 2016, 2017. We did see this blue wave coming up after reaching the bottom in the bear market. It did come up here and did go sideways for a bit and eventually came up and found a red dot here. And again, we have been saying, I think we're in a similar spot to this area when comparing both of these cycles. And we are looking for that next move to the upside, which again, we said would be around possibly 36, 37k. But I think that's about all for now. Hope you enjoyed that analysis. Again, the main thing I wanted to point out with this video was all the confluence with these levels at around a 35, 36, even 37k here. We had the golden pocket, the 382 fib, the 1.618 extension, the AB equals CD move, and the measured move of the head and shoulders, all in this area. This is the next thing I'm watching, and whether we go sideways for a bit here, maybe even pull back a little bit. I do think over the coming weeks we do reach this target. But that's all for now. Thanks for watching. I'm Bitcoin Mamo. I'll see you next time. Bye.